welcome back to another edition of Rich T Racing, and welcome to my 2023 season preview, an annual event, the one a couple of years ago, 2021, I think sort of put me on the map in the Club 100 terms. I've riled up a few feathers, having made some bold predictions based on very little information. So yeah, and then last year's one, I think nothing came of that one. So we'll see what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I'm going to say anything overly controversial. I think I've toned down a lot since 2021. But you never know. Anything can happen when I turn the camera on. So yeah, hopefully this is a much shorter video than what my 2022 season review video was. And I can get through things a bit quicker than I otherwise would do normally. But again, this is me we're talking about. If you watch Rich T Racing, you'd know that's very likely not going to happen. But yeah, let's have a look then at what 2023 is going to bring, what I hope to achieve, and then it'll be quite interesting to look back at the end of the year, see if any of it came true. There's a few bits I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about the endurance, obviously, SP60, obviously. I'm going to talk about the channel as a whole, and then I think I'll talk about some other little bits going on as well. But I'll start with the endurance because it should be a very quick conversation, this one. Basically, whereas obviously the last couple of years we've competed in the Endurance Championship full on, this year it is much more toned down. We're all adults, we all have responsibilities, and realistically, certainly for me, carrying on trying to do endurance and SP60 every single time I go is becoming a bit of an issue. Main reason, I've had an offer accepted on a house. So hopefully by the summer I'll be a homeowner, which I absolutely cannot wait for. Moving out of my parents' house at last, and moving in with my girlfriend. Can't wait for that. That should be great. Does mean I'm going to have to start thinking a bit more about the finances. I can't be doing both of them, basically. And I know that Jasper, Tom, Simon, they're in similar situations, so we're not saying like, oh, we're going to keep on doing it even if there are only two of us. So basically we're only going to go when three of us can do it, and we are currently slated to do 4 rounds. Buckmore in a week's time, then Clay Pigeon, the second Wilton Mill, and Buckmore again. I might be able to negotiate Lyd in August, because Jasper seems to be able to do it. Need to find out from Tom and Simon what they're about. I'm up for it. Lyd will actually be closer to me if the move's gone through by then. So that'll be nice. So maybe 4 or 5 rounds at least. And yeah, well, I think what would be nice for the endurance is if every time we go and do it, we just have clean races and we finish where we're actually meant to finish, rather than crashing into a pit wall, mucking about with radios, with GoPros, etc. I don't even know if I'll film the endurance next year. It might actually be, you know what? Bit of weight off the shoulders, don't need to worry about it. If the GoPro's got enough battery charge in it, fuck it, let's put it on. But no, I don't have much plans from that side of things with the endurance. I really enjoyed the Buckmore video I made at the end of last year with you can hear everything, hear and see pretty much everything that's going on. But a lot of planning is required there, a lot of logistics, and it is a pain. So probably easier just to leave it on that side of things. But yeah, hopefully the 4 rounds we do, we can ideally 4 or 5 podium every single time. Can we get a race win? That would be great. I know that there are some good teams coming up. Zesty Drink Racing coming through, not too shabby. Bryn Alban, I think, is the guy who runs that team. I know they are serious competitors, and Thomas Layton with Zesty Drink Racing, also the best name in Club 100 endurance racing. I think they'll be tough competition. Yeah, so we're just going to see what happens with the endurance. No pressure, nothing to prove. Fuck it, let's see what happens. But yeah, that's the endurance. That's all I really want to talk about. Let's get into the SP60. The beautiful SP60 is obviously the championship trophy from last year, 2022. 51. I'm going to be 51 again. That's why I've still got the number plate. I was able to hang on to it. So yeah, what is the plan with the SP60? Because those of you that have watched me last year will know that obviously last year I wasn't meant to be in it, and then I got in for 8 rounds, won the championship. And a lot of what I spoke about last year in the SP60 was that sort of lack of competition. is the only way I can say it. I always feel like a dick when I say it, but we have to boil down to simple facts. Is that as long as last year, as long as I turned up and did my job, I'd be coming home with a winner's trophy. And as you can see, I've done my pot collecting sort of thing. So you might be thinking then that I might be canning in the SHWs. I'm not yet. Let me talk about let's get into what my hopes and plans are for this year. So the idea is that obviously last year towards the end of the year I said to myself, right, I want to hit 600 points for the year and get in the top 10 for the overall championship, and obviously bring home the championship trophy in the SHW. I fell short by 3 points and 2 positions in that front, but obviously took home the championship win. This year, basically the plan is, unless something drastic changes, is that I'm going to do Buckmore as a super heavyweight, green 51. It'll be my 20th race in the SHW, and then after that, that'll be it. I will have ceased racing in the SHW, and I probably plan to move down into the HW races, or HW class, I should say. The reason for this is because, I've mentioned it before, it all depends really on the competition in the SHW. And if it's going to be a case of every time I turn up, as long as I do my job, even if I do not my best job, but I just keep myself clean, I'm going to take home the win. I don't want that anymore. I want to be fighting properly. And a lot of the fights I had last year was sort of in and around the top 10 with HWs. And every time someone overtook me, I would think, well, that's bad. I don't want to get overtaken. But at the same time, it doesn't matter really, because I'm not racing them in class. I'm not racing them for points or positions at the end of the day. And I want that to change. I want to bring back the competition. I want to bring it back to I want to go to a new level, basically, and push myself as well. Because if I'm actually fighting with the HWs, the guys who are, in theory, are better than me because they are lighter, because they can get out of corners better than I can, they can get a higher top speed down straight than I can. The fact that I'm still able to fight them and have a go with them shows that I've got that potential to progress further forward. But whilst I'm racing in the SHW, my mindset is, I don't need to go and get that position back. Realistically, we're still fine. The next SHW is very further down the line. That's what I'm looking to change. Now, I'm not saying that's 100% what I'm going to do, because you never know. Someone in the SHW someone who was racing in the HWs last year and thought, you know what, I'm getting too heavy, let's race in the SHWs. They could come in and all of a sudden it's like I've got someone on my level that I can properly fight against. If that happens, that's why I'm not doing this change for Buckmore, because it could be that does happen. So that I could carry on the SHW, and if I do, obviously the idea would be to come home with a third championship trophy and get 600 points and finish in the top half. But yeah, that's what could happen. Who knows? And I really hope no one takes everything that I've just said as me just saying that all the other SHWs are crap. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm also not going down the road of, well, I've won it the last 2 years, might as well give somebody else the chance to do it. That's not what I'm doing at all. If the SHW is the best championship for me to race in, then I'm gonna race in it. But to all intents and purposes, my plan is to go into the HWs, because I think that's where I'll get more out of my racing. I'll enjoy it more. It'll be a new challenge as well, because I won't be coming home with a trophy every single time I do it. And that's another reason I want to do Buckmore, because it'd be my 20th race, and I'd love to be able to sign off with another win, and then I can say that I had if I win at Buckmore, it'll have been 11 wins, 2 third places, and 7 second places. And I think that's pretty good going. 100% podium rate, more than a 50% win rate. I'd take that. That's the aim for Buckmore anyway. But yeah, obviously going into the HW, I won't be taking home a trophy every week. In fact, I might not even pick up a trophy for the entire year. A full-on SP60 podium, for me, my best result in one race is 4th. I think my best result in a round overall is 8th. Maybe. Couldn't even tell you where the best have finished. I've never come close to a full SP60, like a total SP60 heavyweight podium. So that would be the ultimate aim for the year, get one of them. But I'm not predicting anything. Again, the best race I had last year was Rye, when I came 4th, and even in that one, I came like 15th in the first one. So who knows what's going to happen on that front, but that is certainly an aim of mine if I do drop into the HWs, as I sort of have planned. One of the other things that obviously is dependent for the HW is weight loss. Now, I've always wanted to do a video on weight loss in Club 100 racing. How can you actually do it? And I very, very nearly did one back in 2020, because I had in that year, or certainly end of 2019, start of 2020, middle of 2020 sort of thing, I did have some good spells of losing a shit ton of weight, like getting down to like 94 kg with all my gear on. Problem is, I've never been able to maintain that. I've never been able to lose weight and keep the weight down. If you know what I mean. I can get down to it for a bit and then I relapse, and then I'm back up to super heavyweight race level. In fact, I think it'll take a sheer miracle for me to get anywhere down to, like, actually you're not even close to being an SHW sort of thing. Like, I find it very difficult. I like ultimately I like things that are bad for me and don't help make me put on weight. But this year I've come in with a plan, because I've got this idea in my head of dropping into the HWs. I've come in with a plan to lose weight. And it boils down, the idea is just cutting back on the things that I enjoy that are bad for me, and then substituting them with stuff that I still enjoy but isn't as bad for me, if that makes sense. So the main things I've tried to do is to cut out alcohol, cut out fast food, cut out processed food, be more active, and eat more fruit. It's that like after that last one, I just remembered actually I am eating more fruit. And the idea so I started the year, I stood on the scales at the start of the year, no race suit, nothing on at all, my bare naked ass, and I was 94.6 kg. And consider that racing gear adds on about 5 kilos. You can imagine I'm pushing 100 kilos at that point. Since then, the last time I stood on the scales last week, I stood on the scales at 92.1. So I've lost 2.5 kg since the start of the year. Whilst I've been very good, I've drunk significantly less. Admittedly, I did go on a skiing holiday where I was drinking every day, but obviously I was doing skiing as well. So by the time the dust had settled, if you know what I mean, when I got back, I'd lost like 0.5 kilo compared to the last time I'd weighed myself, which was pretty damn good. And yeah, so it's going in the right direction. I am improving. I have no desire for fast food like Domino's or McDonald's, the two big ones that have been my plague since the pandemic, really. I was having quite a bit of that. And right now, I have absolutely no desire for any of it, which is great. That's a good sign. Even when after Buckmore next week, do I want a Domino's after that day, which is something I'd normally do? No, I've literally not a chance. So yeah, it's looking good. I need to get a bit more active. I do play football and I do go running, but I need to do more of it. And when I do start doing that, then you just see it's so interesting. Where I walk to work, fine, but as soon as I start doing a bit of running, it just drops so quickly. As long as you don't be silly afterwards, it drops really fast. So it's looking good. Obviously, to be able to compete properly in the heavyweights, I will need to carry on losing weight. I'll need to, instead of being like, oh right, I'm down to 92 kilos, brilliant. Let's have pizza. Let's have burgers. Let's have fried chicken. I need to make sure that doesn't happen. So that's something I need to look at through the year, as long as I do drop into the heavyweights. One of the things as well I saw, I did do a pre-season test just after, the day after I got back from skiing. The day I got back from skiing was the day of the season opener. Had I been there for that, I would have done that event. I've done that with Sahib Chana, actually, one of Rich T's biggest fans. I hope you're still watching, Sahib, I'm sure you are. I then did the Sunday test, and I did have it on film, but first of all, my GoPro is acting a bit weird. so it didn't film everything. Second of all, my nose cone was very shaky, and I've watched the footage and it's unusable, quite frankly. It's terrifying. It doesn't work. Also, it took the crew about 40 minutes to work out that the nose cone was bad, so they took me and changed the car over. And I felt decent in the pre-season test. When I got some clean laps in, it was chaos, to be honest, because you had some people like myself, obviously very experienced in Club 100, and then you also had some people who had never turned a wheel in a senior Club 100 kart. So some of them were going very, very slow indeed. So it was a bit chaotic. I had a few spins. I had a black flag. Getting that stuff out of the way early is quite important, I think. So I'll try and get less of that through the year. But my pace was okay. I can't comment on the new tyres because it was also quite mixed changeable conditions. So I've no idea really how much they've affected. Having looked at the times compared to Buckmore in November, and looking at the season opener, it looks like the karts aren't, thanks to the tyres, they're now faster. So that's really interesting. That'll be interesting to see what happens next week. I've no idea how I'm going to get on next week. Buckmore last year, November, was my worst round of the year actually, which is really disappointing. So it's going to be really interesting to see how I get on, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these new tyres have an effect on everything. What else is there to talk about? Oh yeah, my race gear. I had a plan actually to change up my gear. I've raced with the same stuff for 2 years, like the same suit since the start of 2021. Obviously, same helmet. Helmet's not going anywhere. Actually, I've made a few changes to the helmet. Well, I say a few. What I've done is, as you might be able to see, is I've got some new ones of these, and I've got the ones that the F1 drivers have, not the ones that you like when you can get the set of this. But I've got these two by themselves, and then I've got these ones because these are the ones actual F1 drivers use because I'm that way inclined. I also did buy I bought a rear spoiler, a clear rear spoiler, and I had it on, and it looked actually quite good. Problem was the actual spoiler itself was it was quite scratched, and it was quite cloudy, and it wasn't what I was expecting or hoping for, so I sent it back. Maybe one day, what's that? What the hell is that? Get off. Maybe one day, if I send it, if one, because obviously you can see there, it's got a little chip in it. It has got some bruising on it. I will say this as well. When I took all this off, it was going so well. At the final bit, this bit, I was taking it off, and a bit of paint did come up with it. I've been able to stick it back on, and if you look, you can see it. If you don't look, it doesn't make a difference, sort of thing. The reason I've turned it round is obviously because F1 drivers have that, like Albon, and I think actually quite a lot of them now point it this way. Probably because it might be more aerodynamic. Also, because all of the crap that gets picked up by these things, if you have them pointing the other way, the idea is that crap will be less picked up with it pointing that way. It might still get in under there, and it will probably still find its way into these two. Actually, if you look at these, you can see they're not in the best condition either. I've decided to keep them because they're probably going to get a bit torn up anyway, and I also think that they look a bit cooler than the other ones you can get, so I thought I'd just keep them. But yeah, maybe one day if I send it in for just to get repainted or just get it touched up, maybe. I've always wanted this fifth line to be removed because I didn't design it with a fifth line. It was 4 lines and then more black at the bottom. So like if you look, if we took that fifth line out, spaced these out a bit more, made this green bit the same width as this green bit, we could make that work, and there'd be more black at the bottom. Like you could see that black there more, which I think would make the helmet look cooler. But yeah, we'll see what happens on that front, and then obviously, and then through that, you might see a clear rear spoiler go on the back there, because I want to look like an F1 driver, basically. But yeah, same race suit, sticking with the same gloves, same boots. Again, I had a plan to get some new gear from Demon Tweaks, but from the looks of it, that gear is yet to arrive. It's not in stock yet. It's been saying that it's 21 days due in stock for a while now, which is a bit disappointing because it'd be a complete change of. Obviously, I've raced green and white for the past 6 years, pretty much. It'd be a real change, basically. So we'll see what happens through the year on that. I am planning on getting a new rib protector at some point, but rib protectors are expensive, and obviously I'm trying to move into a house, and maybe saving up for that, or sort of waiting for that basically might be more prudent. There is one I've got my eye on that's in stock around April. So maybe by the time we hit Wilton, which would be my first heavyweight race if I go down that route, maybe by Wilton you might see the new look me effectively. But we'll see what happens on that front. And then just to round off the video, I suppose, if you are still watching, thank you very much. Please sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications. Obviously, what's happening with the channel this year? What do I plan on doing? Because obviously, if you look at last year, it's a little bit tragic compared to the previous years. Ultimately, I'm very busy at work. I'm at 100% pretty much every day, and even on the days where I can go, you know what, it's a bit more chilled, you're just waiting for something to go wrong. So that's why the idea of coming home and spending a couple of hours editing a video down from the weekend, or doing a Karting video like the ones I've made for so long, it's just it's the last thing that I want to do. But I've had an idea. Obviously the tea briefs are going to carry on because that's the stuff that I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing this, but I'm also conscious this is a karting channel and there hasn't been a lot of karting on the channel for a while. So what I'm thinking is combining the two. So you get the tea brief, but instead of it just being me talking to the camera and describing things happening, what happens, I'll have the footage on the screen and I'll be basically talking about it in the same way that I would do in the tea brief, but you've got the actual footage on the screen. I think that will be more engaging. I think that'll be should be a lot easier to make than the actual videos I make, and I can still sort of give the same feedback or the same commentary as I would do on the proper videos sort of thing. So that's what I'm planning on doing for the channel. I've also got some ideas about some standalone videos, some top tips for karting, bring that series back, and I might do a few updates on some videos that I've done before. I might do a couple more beginners guides sort of thing. I definitely want to do a new beginner's guide for Buckmore Park because I watched that video and it's not good. For a video that's got 5,000 views on it, it should be a lot better than what it actually is. So I think if I'm going to do one of those this year, I will do an update on the Buckmore video and go into a decent amount of detail because I love Buckmore Park. It's my favourite place. It's the place I know the best. Even if I don't get the best results there, it's still my favourite track. I love going there every time. I cannot wait for next week. I haven't drunk my tea at all, but in the iconic twat mug. I know I've used this a few times in tea briefs in the past. But yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you have enjoyed my ramblings as we look forward to start the 2023 season. And I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at Buckmore Park next week. And for the 2023 season, let's have an absolute smasher of a year, and maybe we'll look back at this video at the end of the year, see how much of it I got right. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Please, as ever, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so that you know when a new edition of Rich T Racing comes out. But all I shall say for now is ta-ta and farewell.